how much salt should we be taking? Department of Agriculture and the FDA suggest 2,300 milligrams, which is about 1 teaspoon per day. And the American Heart Association recommends even lower than that. And we all assume that salt causes high blood pressure. But studies show that if you have normal blood pressure, only 1/3 of people with normal blood pressure actually see their blood pressure go up when they take salt. So it's a much more complex process than that. And it's all about the kidneys that decide how much fluid should be excreted uh, when you pee, or how much should be circulating in your blood and your lymph and your liquids. So the kidneys are very sensitive to the balance of minerals and water. And if you are constantly taking in too much salt, the kidneys really basically get overwhelmed and your blood pressure is going to go up because there's too much of a concentration of that. And the heart has to beat harder to make things work properly. So what you want to do is eat a normal amount of salt. Well, so what's normal for the body? Well, recent studies are showing that it's important to eat salt with protein because the studies show that proteins break down easier, particularly meat protein, if you have a right amount of salt. Also, if you're just eating beans and not eating meat, it still is highly recommended to soak the beans in salt water, 1% or 2% salt, and to use salt in your cooking water because, again, it helps the digestion when it gets into your body. It helps break down some of the enzyme inhibitors that are in beans that give people gas and so on. And the soaking gets rid of the triglycerides in the beans that can cause gas. So salt is something we've always valued. And going back in history, the salt mines is what they say made Solomon rich. It wasn't silver or gold, it was salt. Because when people are eating a lot of grain, to get the protein from their grain, they need to have enough salt to to digest the food and to keep the kidneys happy, keeping all the minerals in line. The biggest problem now with too much salt is from processed foods because many processed foods have added salt that you can't even detect because it's put in to make these long storaged and highly processed foods have more flavor. And there's sodium attached to a lot of the additives that they use as well. So you don't even taste that. It's not the sodium chloride that we recognize as salty. So the answer to getting your blood pressure normal with normal, healthy salt intake is to avoid the highly processed foods and salt to taste because your body knows. Your kidneys always talking to your blood and to your brain and to your nerves. Your body's always trying to balance its minerals and its liquid. So it will tell you the truth if you are just eating real foods where there's no hidden salt or hidden sodium. So trust your taste buds if you are not eating a lot of processed foods. If you are eating processed foods, then you are really going to have to count your milligrams and look at your labels. But I'm obviously, from my new book, a big advocate of just getting rid of all those multiple ingredient foods and start with real food so your food can taste it. You can add a little salt if it tastes like it needs salt, especially with meats and beans and proteins. Um, Bread, a little bit of salt, salted butter works on bread. Um, so that's it about salt. Um, just get away from the processed foods that are tricking you with extra added salt. Same with the added sugar. Same story, really.